Hello everybody, Loche for Life here, bringing us a brand new video, and today I want to talk about something that kind of hit close to home for me, and that was TeamAps's video talking about the loss of the midcore player. I want to give my opinions and my experience with it, because I feel like it really spoke to me. So, a few months back, I uploaded a video talking about how I felt that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was at a crossroads. And that video, I'll be honest, was not very good. I was ranting, I was raving, I did not think much about how to really express my emotions as much as I just wanted to get my emotions out. So, then I see TeamAps's video about a week ago talking about what happened to midcore players and what is going on with the game in terms of that. And it hit me because he pretty much summed up what I was thinking back when I made that original video, but he put it in a better way. So I kind of want to extend on that and give my opinions and thoughts and my experiences with this topic, because it is something that I have seen personally, and it is something that I have experienced personally. So first, what is a midcore player? So, the way I see it, there are three tiers to being a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. You have the casuals, who, they don't really take the game seriously at all. They play for fun, they play with friends, maybe they make character decks, stuff like that. They're typically the people you see go on the dueling book and say no XYZ, no synchro, no link, no fusion, stuff like that. And then you got on the total other opposite end of the spectrum, you have the meta people. You have the people who go and play the top tier decks. They invest all that money into getting Fuawas and other high-end staples. And they go to every regional, they go to every YCS. They try to do the best that they can because they want to be the best. Okay, cool. Or maybe they just really want to play competitively and take the game seriously. Awesome. Then you have the people in the middle, who nobody really likes to think about too often, because, I mean, heck, if you ever look at anything, the people in the middle always get ignored, because typically the casuals are very loud, and the metas are very loud, but then you get the people in the middle who, they want to be competitive, but they can't, or they want to do something else, typically. So, what I mean is, with midcore people are people who play rogue decks typically, and try to play them to the best of their ability. They are typically not able, or do not want to, play the big meta decks because either A, they just really like a lower tier deck, or B, they don't have the money for the high-end stuff, or maybe even C, sometimes you see like specific meta calls, sometimes with like certain decks being able to do well in a certain meta. Okay, now, I have been all across the spectrum. But I am firmly someone who is a midcore player, and that's partly because I just literally cannot afford the high-end decks. I literally cannot. I have pretty much cut most of my spending on a lot of stuff, and I still can't even consider picking up, like, Malice. Like, I really want to, because I really like that deck's playstyle. I really like I really like Malice on Wonderland and all that stuff. And I really want to play the deck. Can't. I just can't. I can't afford $150 for a playset of White Rabbit. I can't afford another $60 on the field spells. It's just $210, give or take. Heck, the field spell might even be more than that now. It might be closer to 30 or 40. It's been bouncing around up and down everywhere. I just literally cannot justify it. And Rizel's not much better. Heck, it's arguably even worse, because all of the ultra rares, except for the 2 Xyzs, are like freaking $25, and you need 3 of them. So that's, what, $75 per playset, give or take? Yeah, it's about the same price, give or take. But I digress. So, for me personally, I have always been more of a casual competitive. I have taken decks that I see potential in, or I think are good in the meta, and I try to play them competitively. My first ever regional I went to almost 12 years ago. I think it was a year into my time getting into Yu-Gi-Oh!, so it was probably more like 11. I took Glad Beast, and I did really well with it. I almost topped, but then I scrubbed out in the last couple rounds. I almost topped with Archfiend back after Judgment of Light came out, partly due to the hilarious rolling at the time that, if you have Skill Drain out and then you normal summon Archfiend Emperor, he doesn't nuke himself at the end of the turn. So that was fun. And then my closest I ever came was a freaking DDD where I got 66. Or was it 68? It was 66 or 68. It was one of those two. But you know, that's only a couple digits away from top 64. I like to try these decks and try to do well with them. It is something that I have always liked to do. Even if I did have the money for Malice, even if I did have the money for Rizal or any of the other top tier decks, I would still be trying to bring out the potential of my favorites as much as I can. Especially with stuff like Supreme Darkness where you have like 10 different archetypes getting support. It's awesome. But enough about me. Let's talk about the actual loss of midcore player. And this is actually something else that kind of actually does go in hand with me, is that up until a few years back, I would actually have these giant deck boxes. I have one over here. It's a pain in the butt to lug, but it's one of the ones that holds like 12 decks. And it's actually, the long strip is supposed to be for a mat. You know what, actually, I'm going to pause. Right, so here's the thing I want to show. Okay. Nice big deck box. It's full bulk now. This thing used to have a bunch of my casual decks in it. I'd bring up about 12 decks on any given point just to play for fun. That doesn't happen anymore now. I have not brought that box or any of the other boxes up to my locals to play for fun in ages. I have not played a just for fun game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In ages. Unless you count like online with like Master Duel or whatever. But even then, like there you're grinding, so I don't know how much it really is for fun. But I have not seen hardly anybody play casual for just the heck of it in a long time. My locals used to have a really solid player base of people who played for fun, who played lower tier decks. They would play casually before tournament, they would play casually after tournament, all that stuff. Over time, my locals lost it. Lost that group. A big chunk of them were my friends personally. They all quit, all for one reason or another. Except for one person who is really into the competitive scene. But all my casual friends quit. I don't have anybody who wants to play just for fun, help me test out a deck anymore. So, the reason being though is because, well, I'll tell you one thing. For one thing, a few of them were on the edge of quitting before COVID happened. COVID happened, that screwed up a lot of things. But what really killed the casual scene at my locals was the power creep of the game. Okay, a lot of these people would also play in the actual local tournaments. Almost all of them quit during tier limit format. Almost all of them. I remember very distinctly before tier limit format, we would get upwards of sometimes 50 people at my locals on Saturdays. It was getting so bad, my locals actually decided to move, and then they got into a bigger space. But now we're lucky if we hit 30 people on any given Saturday, unless it's a big event. And you know, the game has only proceeded to get more and more power crept crazily as time has gone on. Now, did Tyranid kill the game in my locals? No. The local scene is still very strong, but like the casual scene, the casual mid-core scene is gone. If there are 30 people at my locals in a Saturday tournament, 20 of them are playing some meta deck. Whether it be Malice, Rizal, Fiendsmith. Heck, there's still some people playing Ubel and Tempai. And then the rest of the people are playing rogue decks. And they're playing rogue decks that are good in the format. Stuff like Voiceless Voice and that kind of thing. Ritual Beast. You know, stuff that can do well. The higher end rogue decks. But even then, those still struggle. And I think it really points out, okay, like even with Rizal's the new top dog deck, right? It and Malice are. Even though they are the new top dog deck, they're the new best decks, they are, even though they're not as strong as like the Snake Eye Fire, I almost called it Fire Fist, Snake Eye Fire King, and Snake Eye and all that other stuff that was going on before, even though they're not as strong as that, even though they're not as strong as Tier, okay, they are still vastly stronger than any of the rogue decks out at the moment that can compete, that can try, that can eke out wins against these big decks every now and then. I forget who it was. I think it might have been Stevie Blunder. He puts it this way, where you got like a staircase, right? And every tier goes up. Every time a new deck comes out, it's got to be stronger than the previous deck, right? Well, every now and then we get a power backwards, where like it goes backwards after the previous deck gets hit. But then it still is a few tiers up above the older rogue decks and stuff like that. So while full power Rizal cannot compete against full power Tearlament, it's still stronger than even full power like Voiceless Voice, full power Ritual Beast, stuff like that, because it is still power crept compared to the decks released before it. Does that make sense? Basically what I'm trying to say is the power gap between the rogue decks that can compete, the rogue decks that people try with, and the power difference between it and the meta decks is so vast that you are fighting such an uphill battle that it's sometimes at some points unfun. Like, okay, I'll take for instance, I'm playing mainly Voiceless Voice at the moment, okay? I actually did a deck profile of it recently. I think I uploaded it. I don't know. Anyway, Voiceless Voice has been my main deck for a while. And I'm doing okay with it. I actually did do pretty well with it on a Saturday when literally all the meta players were playing in the store championship. So it's just like a few of the people who didn't quite get to make it and everything. But that was the one time I did super well with it. Every other time, though, the deck has struggled because, it loses to one hand trap. And that's one of the big things, is the lower tier decks lose to one hand traps. The meta decks don't. You do one hand trap against Rizal, cool, they still end on full combo board, unless they bricked really hard. Same thing with Malice. And I think that's really the big power difference between these decks, is can you play through more than one hand trap, and if you can, how good of a board can you end on? Voiceless can't do that. Unless they open, like, literally the best hand ever. Ritual Beast can't do that unless they literally open the best hand ever, and even then, sometimes they can't. Same thing with Voiceless. Trying to think about other, like, lower tier rogue decks. I guess Tenpai is a bit more of a rogue deck now, but it's still... the Tenpai players at my locals are still consistently getting at the top tables, and I want that deck to die so bad. Digress. It just all brings in that conversation of just how big the power gap is. Like, okay, take for instance, I'm looking at Supreme Darkness. Supreme Darkness is a great set for a person like me. I love the fact that Gladiator Beast, my first competitive deck, has new support and is able to play. It doesn't play anything like it used to, but hey, you know what? I can at least play Glads. Is it going to be good? No. Just no. You do Test Bear, cool. Test Bear, tribute for cost, along with somebody, I forget how it works, but you tribute him, I think you shuffle back somebody, and then you summon two from deck, right? Something like that. Okay, cool, Ash Blossom. Oh, that's it? That's your turn? Awesome, I'm going to full Rizal combo and OTK you now. Oh, you're playing Arcana Force with the new support? Awesome, Veiler. Your Hierophant is turned off. Okay, cool. That's the end of your turn, right? Full Rizal combo, OTK. Let's see here. Crystron. I've seen a lot of people talking about Crystron and how awesome it... Okay, cool. Can it play through Ash, Veiler, Imperm? Can it? Probably not. Rizal can. They can do it just fine. Stuff like that, yeah. You know, that's the problem. Part of it. The thing is that hand traps have become a very necessary evil. Okay, I'm not going to say all hand traps should be banned because that'd be incredibly stupid. I've seen people say that, but to ban all hand traps, or at least all the good ones, you would have to totally, completely neuter every single deck released in the past, 10 years. Because all of these decks have been designed with the fact that, hey, you got triple Ash, triple Effect Veil, triple Imperm, triple Nibiru, all these guys to stop and slow down the game because of how, well, otherwise you're playing non-games. Everybody's had those times where they open no hand traps and their opponent full combos, and then it goes back to your turn and you have no way of playing through their board. Everybody's had those times. Imagine if that was how it was all the time, because there are no hand traps. The big thing with these meta decks and the power between them and the lower tier rogue decks is whether or not they can play through multiple hand traps. One card combos. Being able to do one card combo, or having multiple one card combos. Like, again, with Rysel has multiple one card combos. You stop one, they can still do another. You gotta learn these choke points to be able to stop the decks, and even then, they can play through the choke points sometimes. Heck, if Rysel opens the field spell and goes into dual drive, and your only hand traps are Ash and Veiler, you're not gonna get to resolve that. Like, you can try, but their field spell is going to say no to at least one of those. I guess in that case, they would go dual drive effect. You would try to Ash first. They would go... Well, actually, no, the field spell negates that resolution, so I don't know how that would actually work. I guess you'd have to chain the Ash and then the Veiler, and then they would have to choose which one to negate, but either way, you're still wasting 2 cards on 1 card. Welcome to Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, it's so hard to get hyped for these newer decks. I mean, not even newer decks, but like rogue decks that are getting support when they're literally still unplayable because they can't compete against these decks at locals. Okay, like take for instance, I love Nordic. Nordic is one of my favorite decks ever. I played it for years. Back in like Duels. I played it for like the year before Duels Alliance, and then for a good while in the Duels Alliance. Then I had to stop because the deck literally could not even try to come close to competing with what was out at the time. And then now, even with the new support it got a few years ago, no. Just no. Because Konami doesn't... I guess they don't know what they're doing with the deck. Personally, just retrain the gods, please, Konami. That's all I want. But anyways, then you look at other decks that have come out in recent years. Okay, last year, you want to know what my most played deck was? I played mainly 2 decks, okay? Melodious and Valmonica. Valmonica is actually a really solid deck when you have the Fiendsmith package in it and you're able to max out on the Luries and everything because, hey, you're discarding the Lurie for the Valmonica pendulums. That triggers Lurie to come back. You're able to do your Fiendsmith combo. You're able to get out like something to stop Nib or to go into good old Fiendsmith Desiree, and then you're able to go into your Valmonica combos, and then, hey, now you've ended on Varar along with Desiree along with 2 the counter trap and the normal trap. That's an imperm that doesn't target, and you are just set. But that's like you still got to fight through multiple hand traps to be able to do that. Sure, you're going to be able to like resolve your Valmonica stuff, and sometimes it's rough. It is so rough, and that's how it unfortunately always is. You know, I think it was Joshua Smith who said like, oh, that's how it's always been is not an argument. But, like, that is always how it's been. Rogue decks have always struggled. The thing is now, they are struggling even harder. Because the gap is getting worse. And then the casual scene is dying. The casual competitive scene is dying. It's just gone. Like, what do you do? Okay? I have about 6 decks sleeved up right now. And they're all decks that I think I can possibly do okay with at my locals. And even then, that's a big if. That's a big maybe. I really want to be excited for Mitsurugi, but, oh, hey, Mitsurugi, I guess it's a Rysel deck now. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you want to play Ygopro Mitsurugi, good luck. Good luck. You want to do anything else with these decks, good luck. There's no one to play with, except for the big guys who are playing the big meta decks. And that's how it's been. That's partly why I'm frustrated. Okay, so take for instance, I have only ever heard about this in conversation and seeing people talk about it in comments and stuff. I have no way of verifying if it's true, but from what I've heard in the OCG, it's the casual competitive scene, and the casual scene is way bigger than even like the competitive scene for the most part. So like that's one of the reasons why they still support these lower tier decks, because a lot of the people in Japan, where Konami prioritizes, let's be real, okay, if they gave two craps about us in TCG, we would be getting that really cool Orcus, Dragon Maid, and I forget what the other one was, deck box with the key charms and everything. It'd be really cool. Please, Konami, start giving us stuff like that. But we won't, because I guess we're not nice. Konami, we're like the abused stepchild that nobody cares about, I guess, in the relationship here. And Konami, Japan is the favorite child who gets the gold stars everywhere. But anyway, a lot of the OCG players, they will have their fun decks that they play and goof around with, and then they have their competitive deck. That's not a thing over here, at least for the most part. I'm one of those people. I have a bunch of casual decks, and I have my competitive decks. But it's hard to even play around with these casual decks when you have to take it to tournament. You have to try to figure it out. And it's something that annoys me, but it's also something that I do actually get a bit of a kick out of from trying to challenge and do well in these tournaments. Heck, the first time I 2-0'd a Fiend Smith Bell player with Monica, the dude was like, "What the hell is going on?" Then people figured out how to play against Monica, and my locals kind of I had stopped playing because people figured out how to play against it. But anyways, you know, that's the thing though. Like, not everybody has that drive, and I don't know. I'm rambling now. I really am. I am just frustrated, and I look at how things are going. I listened to the 3 big reactions so far that I've seen from the Team APS video, which was Joshua Smith, Farfa, and MBT, and they all said things I agree with. They all said things I don't agree with. I wish I took notes or something. I've been kind of spitballing whether or not to even make this video, but I feel like since they're all pretty much more competitive people for the most part, they didn't really, like, I have seen this happen in real time as the player base dried up at my locals. It's still strong with the competitive scene, but that casual scene, that casual competitive scene, it's all gone. It's all gone. I still remember when I first started playing, there was this dude who came to locals every so my locals does Yu-Gi-Oh! On Tuesdays and Saturdays. He'd be up there every Tuesday and every Saturday. And this is actually where I got the idea from. He had a big box full of decks, and he would play them, and he did relatively well with them at the locals every now and then. And it just came down to what deck he wanted to play and how things were going and all that stuff. And you don't see that anymore. You don't see people walk up to locals with a big box full of decks to play. You don't see people just chilling in the corner having fun. It's all gone. It's all gone. The joy is dead. I don't like saying that, but it really feels like it to some extent. And I don't know what Konami can do at this point. The only things they can really do is to promote alternative formats and really encourage locals to do things like that. Like, I would love to see my locals do a Heart of the Underdog tournament or something. That'd be really cool. Heck, I'll be honest, the most fun I've had playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In recent memory was actually the Saturday after Christmas. My locals did a traditional format tournament. And I'm like, okay, cool, that sounds fun. It's going to be hell because I thought it'd be hell because I figured everybody would be playing the, all the different degenerate FTKs and OTKs you can do in traditional format. Actually, no. Everybody was playing whatever fun deck they wanted to play that they literally cannot play right now because the card is banned. One of the best players at my locals was playing Super Heavy Samurai because he thoroughly enjoys the deck and cannot play it because Scarecrow is banned. I went with Pendulum Magician with the new Zark support and everything because I really want to play with Electromite. Good lord, if Electromite gets unbanned on any of the future formats, I will probably never play another deck again except for Pendulum Magician. Because I enjoy that deck. It's one of my favorite decks. And it's unplayable right now, borderline unplayable, because Electromite's still banned. And so many mid-hands you get with the deck are perfectly playable with Electromite in the format. But no, we don't get Electromite. We're the only version of the game that can't have Electromite. Because I guess we have too many whiny players who hate pendulums that much. I don't know. And then there was like 4 people playing Math Mech. One person playing Tier Element. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. But I digress. I got my rants all pretty much out. I really gotta start like writing actually scripts and stuff for this, but I already have barely enough time to make videos, so scripting is kind of out the window. As for future videos, I'm gonna really try to make more videos. That's like my New Year's resolution. A big thing for me personally is a lot of the things I saw in a lot of these videos was there's not really much content for midcore players, and I want to give my hand back into the ring with making content for midcore players. I love deck building. It's my favorite part of games in general. So yeah, I fully want to get back into this, to making videos, making deck profiles. I want to give my hand at making combos. That's something I've never really tried before. I want to get back to making archetype analyses and all this stuff. I miss making videos regularly, but my job just kills me, and my free time and all that stuff. So holidays like today are like the only time I really get to sit down and record a lot of videos. I digress. I hope to have a couple of videos coming out, hopefully somewhat soon. I'm going to record another one almost right after this. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. Give TeamAPS's video a shot down below, and I will also try to link the videos that Joshua, MBT, and Farfa did as well down below, because I think they're all worth watching. I don't agree with everything they all say, but like I do think they have some good points and everything that need to be checked out too, because they all have different thoughts and opinions on this situation and how to fix it. But yeah, that's everything. Thank y'all for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe. Have a great day, and peace out, everybody. See y'all later. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider rating, commenting, and subscribing. Sharing the video helps as well. If you especially really like it, please do consider being a channel member. Every little bit helps out. And hey, also why not check me out on my other social media pages. Thank you, and have a great day.